Hello humans and welcome to my channel. Today we will be playing A Pinch of Magic. This is a dating sim that I found on TikTok. I'm really excited to play it because it's all about saving your grandparents' cafe, and I don't know much really beyond that. And I'm really hoping there is magic because I'm quite a big fan of magic in games. So let's get started. What is my name? Let's go with Watson. I use she, her pronouns. It's her. Do I click return? Or does that just bring it back to the... Ah, no. Okay, so return means you move on. Wah! Oh, it was yawn. I let out a freeing yawn as I leaped down from the bus onto the pavement, although bags in hand. Finally made it. Drinking in the familiar surroundings, I take a moment to execute some quick squats. Because that's the thing people do normally. The brisk stretcher size is exactly what my compressed muscles ordered, all stiff from the several-hour-long bus ride from the city to the sea. Classic. I wonder if this is how Jack in the Boxes feel when they pop out. Newly energized, I extend my arms in the tropical sun as if to pluck it from the sky and take in a greedy lungful of delicious sea air. Okay. As always, the warm climate here on the coast feels as though it's welcoming me back home, back to the place where I belong. I've missed this, all of it, and ahead of me is a summer-long period of peace and respite. I just graduated from high school, and from now on there will be no parents, teachers, or peers reminding me that every breath that I'm waiting to the end of my teenage years with no direction. Just the sea, the sun, and this place. The destination. My destination, the tranquil seaside town of Linsdale. Nestled in a quiet crescent-shaped cove on the coast and licked by the starry, deep blue waves of the East Sea, talking is not an easy thing. Some people have taken to affectionately nicknaming it Moon Bay. Oh, I love that. A pretty occultic name, all things considered. What things considered? But it always seemed perfectly apt because it's also the town my grandmother, my Baba, calls home. And she just so happens to be an exceptional and absolutely eccentric witch. There is magic! Yes! I love magic. All these years later, and I still wouldn't put it past her to have coined Moon Bay herself, just because it might help drum up business among magic folk. For the first time in 3 years, she'd asked me to visit this summer. 3 years? And I can't wait to resume my magic training. My fingers electrified are already tingling at the prospect. I reach into the pocket of my hoodie, feeling for the letter she sent, making sure it's still there. Cursive on vellum, and a wax seal. Yep, nobody except that wily old woman would write like this anymore. There's no time like the present. Unable to hide my eagerness to see her again, I hoist my bags up onto my shoulders and take off at a sprint up the staircase, leaving the bus stop far behind. And once I leap across the threshold of the stairway's end, I see the sights I've longed for, and open my lungs wide. I'm just trying to figure out the, dynamics of that, just... Hello, coffee curiosities! I'm home! Curiosities. That's funny. I love that. My grandma's cafe stands before me, a static monument among the other buildings, utterly unchanged, like a moment in time, perfectly preserves the way I always remembered it. It reminds me of my childhood, of iced tea in summer, sea salt ice cream, and freer days spent under Baba's tutelage. That in itself is a rare kind of magic that leaves me spellbound. Naturally, my peppy cry draws the attention of several passers-by outside the store, many of whom recognize me and wave in greeting. Hello. Well, I'll be, if it isn't Watson. Been a spell since you've been back. Ha, 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 spell. Still kept that strange habit of greeting the cafe like it's a person I see. Well, she's not wrong. I guess I am a little old to be shouting in public. But as Baba used to say, a witch breathes magic and life into all things. Every word is a charm, every sentence a spell. Now that I think about it, it's totally possible she was just hoodwinking an extremely gullible 5-year-old, but, well, it's a cute tradition, so who cares? I wave energetically back. Hello! Hi there! It's good to see you again. Do you know if my grandmother is about? That question seems to give her pause, and she forces a smile which can only be read as guilty embarrassment. Oh, you mean she... Well, I'm not too sure. Haven't been in for a coffee for a while, you see. Anyway, nice seeing you, kid. Before I've had a chance to respond, she skittles off over the hill, leaving me stranded in confusion at the shop door. What the fudge just happened? See, what in the hemlock was all that about? Glancing over the cafe again, my eyes narrow suspiciously and roam up and down the building. I finally notice one extremely telling clue. It's the height of the morning, and yet the curtains are shut tight. Fishier still is how quiet it is. Wait, don't tell me! I practically kick the door down in my provoked state, and once inside, all of my suspicions are confirmed. Not only are all the lights switched off, not only are there no customers, not only has the door clearly been left unlocked with complete disregard to nasty draughts, thieves, or trespassers, but on top of all that, Baba is nowhere to be found. The lingering, mingled fragrance of sweet teas and bitter coffees temporarily catches me off guard, filling my nose and mind with happy memories, but I quickly remember why I'm there. I stomp across the cafe floor in big strides, making a beeline for the door at the far end of the room. A door hidden behind a heavy satin curtain and bewitched to be invisible to all non-magic customers. Baba? Baba! I stop dead in my tracks. In the secret room piled floor to ceiling with mystical objects is Baba's crystal ball table. A table radiating with memories of afternoons sitting on her lap, poring over dusty tomes and having the wonders of magic whispered in my ear. And now on that table, clearly awaiting my arrival, is a small paper ornament, an enchanted letter folded into the shape of a miniature rabbit. When I enter the room, it turns up its ears and bounds up from its slumber, hopping to the table's edge to greet me. I would recognize this magic anywhere. Baba would while away hours folding these critters for me as I studied, until she had gifted me the entire animal kingdom out of paper. It never failed to put a smile on my face. Which can only mean she's buttering me up for some unsavory news. I skeptically scoop up the paper rabbit in my hands, and at the touch of my finger upon its nose, it unravels itself. Sure enough, my grandmother has inked a note in cursive inside. My dearest Watson, I have run away. What? Since I was the one who invited you to stay with me this summer, I'll venture that this will come as a shock to you. A little bit. It wasn't part of my plan, but running the cafe was beginning to feel rather droll. Huh? Then I remembered, it's mugwort season, and also that the witch folk are hosting a mushroom picking festival in the mountains. Much less droll, by far. I mean, fair, but do not come searching for me. Write to me, though, if you want me to bring you back some mugwort. Otherwise, I shall bring you nothing. That's a very valid point of view. Take care of the place while I'm gone. P.S. I hope you have money. The pantry is empty. What? What is this? It's okay. I knew it! That wayward old witch. Slumping onto one of the table's squishy cushions, I threw my arms up in defeat. I absolutely should have expected this, flying through life by the seat of her pants, living by her every whim, dropping things when they no longer suit her. This entire situation reaches into the far recesses of my mind, conjuring up echoes of countless other past examples of how mercurial Baba could be. Closing up at noon to go skinny dipping in the ocean, that sounds really cold. Hosting a luau party, then passing out after an hour on her own deadly magic punch. I'm assuming that means like alcohol, not like actually poison. Her crimes of capriciousness knew few bounds. She may have taught me everything I know of magic, but early on I had to master brewing tea and coffee, not just potions, just to keep this place running smoothly. It suddenly dawns on me exactly why that passerby had acted so suspicious. I bet she cut and run days ago, and told everyone in town not to breathe a word. Yep, that sounds about right. No matter how you cut it, she was just running from her responsibilities again. I seriously have no clue how she managed to keep this place running all these years. My lips pressed themselves into a thin, stubborn line. Mugwort tea is my favorite, though. I guess it's time to go shopping. Alright, let's go shopping! An hour or so later, I've made begrudging progress on the cafe's sorry state. With the door now locked and the curtains still tightly drawn, I make use of the privacy by enchanting Baba's dustpan and broom and setting them to work on the floor. That's so cool. They whiz about the room in a waltz, making quick work of any dust and grime in their path. Woo, go broom! After a brief inspection, all that remains in the fridge is a curdled bottle of milk. The pantry cupboards also had been harboring nothing but dust, but were saved earlier by a trip to the local supermarket. Rest in peace, poor wallet. Rest in peace. Luckily, it also seems the cafe's more expensive wares are in plentiful stock. The exotic plethora of tea leaves and unground coffee beans have been safely stored in bags and dry containers. The siphons, mills, and other apparatus, too, are in good working order. That's good. Knowing Baba's devil-may-care attitude, the situation here could have been far worse. I should count my blessings she didn't let any rats inside those sacks. That moment, as if my words had personally offended her efforts, Baba's cat slinks into the room and up onto the counter to glare at me. There you are, Hannibal. Like, Silence of the Lambs? Hannibal Lecter? Cannibal Boy? A witch's familiar, reduced to a rat catcher. How the mighty fall in the wrong hands. But since you don't have anything better to do, if you see any about, you be sure to let me know. When I reach across the counter to scritch beneath her neck, she forgets her grumpiness in a heartbeat and pads off to the bathroom to the bedroom for an afternoon nap, not bathroom. With the dustpan and broom soon done with their work, I thank them for their service and quickly finish putting the cupboards in order. After a satisfying stretch, I pull back the curtains to survey the place triumphantly. Watch out, Linsdale, we're back in business! Standing there with hands on hips, it's a funny feeling that courses through my chest, a kind of liberation and pride that comes with being freely, wantonly spellcast for the first time in a painfully long time. I missed it even more than I thought I would. Not too rusty though, thankfully. Now then, the last port of call is to flip that sign, and after that, I guess it's time to brew some criminally delicious coffee. But as soon as I step outside, I pause. My senses are once again splashed by the salty air, the sun's warmth, and the far-off songs of a soaring flock of seagulls. I'm sure that sounds amazing. And in my line of sight, the sea itself, a shimmering crystal blue expanse calling me back to its edge. Well, I've worked pretty hard, if I do say so myself. Just a little stretch of the legs beforehand couldn't hurt. And so, with slow, meandering strides, I crossed the pavement and paced down the small stone staircase, headed for the beachfront. Ooh, that's pretty. I take my time enjoying the afternoon breeze and the journey all the way to the boardwalk and beyond. When I reach the beach end, I slide off my shoes and press on, free and barefoot on the sand. I softly envelop my feet as I walk, like a floor made of satin. The waves, too, are like rolls of crystalline satin sheets being marbled onto the shore, rolling over rocks, shells, and themselves, and gently sinking back to their source. As ever, Moonday, you're almost too perfect for words. I plop myself down on the sand, stretching out my legs, and searching along the water surface for something. I wonder if she's still out there. But before I continue that thought, the phone in my back pocket hums, and when I retrieve it, I see several texts coming from my parents. Their messages cascade simultaneously into the group chat, making it plainly obvious they're both sitting beside each other, typing with a joint agenda. Did you arrive safely? You forgot to text us. We were worried. How's Baba? Is she doing well? How's her back? And there it is. I sigh, typing back my regular response whenever they awkwardly attempt to bring her up. If you're that worried, you could always, try talking to her for yourself. Dad, I'm sure she'd like to hear from you. From both of you. After a brief exchange ending in I love yous all around, I fling my phone to the side and fall back into the sand bed. That sounds like you'd get your sand stuck in your, headphone jack or your, charging port. It just sounds very inconvenient. The history between my parents and Baba was fractured, to say the least. In this world, there's so few people gifted with the ability to wield magic. We hide what we are for an easier life. Hundreds of years ago, those without the gift feared us, persecuted us, and worse. The world was messy. The witch folk decided almost unanimously that it was better to fade into anonymity than cause trouble. Nowadays, it was as far as the rest of normal society was concerned. It's known that we exist out there somewhere, but rarely do you see a witch shouting it from the rooftops. Despite the good I know we do, there's no glory in it at all. So, as for my parents and Baba, well, Baba had always been an immensely talented witch. The first time I was sent to stay here with her for the summer, I was 3. She showed me a few simple spells, and though I could barely speak, I guess I was a natural. I still remember her sweeping me up when I successfully levitated a paperclip. She was so giddy, it was impossible for her to contain herself. But my parents were different. They never taught me magic, never encouraged me to learn it. All they wished for me was an utterly normal life. They asked Baba to stop teaching me, and that was that. Or so they thought. When they found out I'd flown in the face of their disapproval and had secretly been studying hard under Baba every summer for 10 years, oh boy, I remember that day. Dad's face went a shade of blue I didn't think was possible outside of being hexed. After that, their relationship seemed strained. They stopped talking. I became their mediator, their owl, ferrying messages back and forth. I stopped visiting Linsdale for a while to give them all time to cool off. A normal life, a boring life, devoid of magic. I feel empty just at the thought of it, but honestly, I don't really have the first clue about what I want to do in the future. If only witch folk didn't have to hide who we are. As I raised myself back up to my knees, I realized that I'd been absent-mindedly dragging a finger through the sand all this time. I've drawn nothing remotely artistic, of course, just a bunch of badly drawn swirls that barely resemble shapes at all. Same! I'm not artistic in the least. I cannot draw. I wish I could, though. These are almost as terrible as Kia's. A spark ignites my recollection in my mind, a spark which sends me flying back to before I had been interrupted by my parents' messages, back to thoughts of a friend from long ago. My eyes meet the sea again, Kia's home. My childhood friend who had been as much a part of my summers in Linsdale as my grandmother. She was an extraordinary person in her own right, a mermaid who'd befriended a witch. Shy and a little fumbling in the beginning, she barely grasped human language. Kia was just about the only sound she could make. We'd communicated by drawing shapes in the sand, and though hers were terrible, I got pretty good at deciphering them. I could still clearly remember our first meeting here on the shore. I was 5. Mom and Dad had just asked Baba to stop teaching me magic, and I was wailing into the ocean at the top of my lungs. And it was only once my tears had dried up that I noticed a curious baby mermaid who'd snuck away from home to investigate the service, was peering at me through the waves. As I ruminate, a smile spreads across my face. Kia, that's right. I wonder if she and her family still swim in these waters. With renewed purpose, I leaped up and dusted myself off. I tread up and down the beach, scanning for the waves for any sign of movement. But, unsurprisingly, I don't find a trace of her anywhere. There isn't a fin in sight. Well, that'll teach me for being willfully optimistic. As if mermaids would ever venture this close to the shore. They'd be found out in a heartbeat. Still, I haven't exhausted all the tricks up my sleeve just yet. Determined, I set off up and down the beach once more, this time with my eyes to the sand, scouring the golden floor for a very particular object. And finally, wedged between some barnacled rocks, I find exactly what I'm looking for. A prismatic conch? Like a conch shell from SpongeBob, I think. Shimmering and weighty to the touch. And more importantly, in the hands of a witch, it's a horn that, when blown, can sing a song only a mermaid could hear. It was an ancient spell Baba had taught me as a child, used by the old witches in time of strife to call mermaids to their aid. And together, Kia and I had repurposed it. Since the day we met, it had been my way of communicating to her, "I'm here, I want to see you." Well, I suppose that's the only way to find out if she's still out there, though. Listening for me. As precaution, I spin about, checking for onlookers, but this corner of the beach is deserted. That's good. So reaching into the recesses of my mind for the ancient spell, I pluck out its melody note by note and whisper my request to the shell at my fingertips. Weight of the waves, my bottomless heart be an ocean of love built just for thee. And if thou art astray from in faraway foam, the song of my sea will call you home. As the conch begins to gleam, I gather my breath and blow gently into its tip. Whee! But no matter how many times I call, Kia doesn't appear. The waves simply keep rolling over the sand at my feet, slowly sinking in and causing me to sink. So she left in search of somewhere better after all. No Baba and no Kia. This truly was shaping up to be a pretty miserable summer, and the pang of pain I feel in my chest is sudden but not unexpected. 3 years ago, when I said goodbye and left Linsdale, I didn't know it would be the last time. I didn't get the chance to tell her. Somewhat sad, my shoulders droop a little. She was always so timid and unsure of herself. I wonder if she waited every summer for me to come back, and I never did. But never one to let sadness get the better of me for long, I clap my cheeks together. At the very least, I know that right now, what I can do is see her off with a smile. I'm sorry, Kia, but I hope wherever you are, you're swimming happily. Your drawings don't suck anymore. After exhaling my feelings cathartically into the afternoon air, but it's a sunset. Wow, it must get dark really early there. I turn heel and head back to the stairs. It's time to open the cafe for the evening. But as my head swims with the thoughts of coffee beans, recipes, and measurements, I forgot to check for obstacles in my path, and before I know it, wah! I collide with someone else. Beautiful woman. She is indeed beautiful. Oh, I'm so sorry. Please excuse me. The bump had successfully knocked me down a stair or two, but as I shake off the pain, her eyes meet mine. Her golden irises, her amethyst hair, everything about her beauty is dazzling, and it temporarily catches me off guard. Phew, I'm grateful she seems unharmed. I run my fingers through my hair, somewhat embarrassed. Not at all, I wasn't paying attention either. Are you alright? Yes, Her quiet voice trails off, but she continues to stare at me with great intensity, looking me up and down with wide eyes. That's right, the cafe. I don't have time to be wasting here. So I flash her a polite smile and, shooting back up the hill, excuse myself. Well, I'm sorry again. Have a nice evening. Large leaping strides bring me back to the cusp of the hill in record time. With the afternoon sky already fading into a orange glow, evening is practically here. I have no concrete grasp of how long Baba's cafe has been closed since she can't run, but there's one thing I know for certain, and that's I don't want to keep the Linsdale patrons waiting any longer. It's funny, if I let slip that Baba's irresponsibilities is what put me in this mess in the first place, I'm actually excited. Running about serving special blends, putting smiles on customers' faces, it was difficult at first, maybe, but I grew to love it. Positive vibes, Watson. Maybe this will be a good summer after all. With renewed energy, I begin to mentally roll up my sleeves. But just as I round the corner, an unpleasant sight makes me my newly buoyed mood sink further than a stone anchor. What the? Directly outside the cafe, pulled unceremoniously up to the curb, is a garnish red sports car. It's brand new and clearly far too expensive to belong to any of the residents in Linsdale. Are you serious? What sort of self-centered idiot parks their car square in front of a shop entrance? Already ticked off, I watched as an elderly man with a cane struggles to shuffle through a gap in the pavement, grasping at the cafe wall for support. He gets his revenge as he passes by, though, flipping the bird at the car's tinted windows as he goes. Whoa, let's go, elderly man! You go, Grandpa! Oh, I relate to this character so much. And if I had any doubts that this gaudy ride would spell trouble, they're blown away as soon as the driver steps outside. A tall blonde fop in sunglasses and a jean jacket slams the door behind him, yawning loudly. Leaning back lazily onto the car roof, he slips his sunglasses into his hairline and clicks his tongue at the elderly man's back. I'm about to storm up and give him a piece of my mind when he pulls out his phone, the latest model it looks like, and begins snapping landscape shots of the cafe. Ahem, may I help you? Sliding his free hand casually into his back pocket, he turns to flash me a smile. It's so not cute. Oh, are you the owner? I square up my shoulders as much as humanly possible, arms folded crossly. Yes, I am. Name's Watson, and I don't appreciate you blocking the door my customers use. Customers? He cockily raises his eyebrow and looks around at the now very empty streets. He pulls down his sunglasses once or twice in a mocking motion. Huh, well, how's about that? I guess my prescription's wrong because I don't see a single soul sniffing about. Looks like what you have here is a bona fide dead spot. Dead spot? You better not be insulting my cafe. Another condescending smile slowly stretches across his face. He's clearly looking down on me and doesn't care to provide any kind of answer. He just continues on, ignoring my question. Not an insult per se, as it so happens this is the exact sort of place I'm looking for. With a twinkle in his eye, he straightens up and spins his phone into both hands. His whole demeanor changes as he begins typing on the screen with lightning speed. So what's your specialty here? Cafe Cubano? Chinese teas? Matcha? You do serve something other than salty tap water, I presume. Sure. There's a bottle of rancid milk in the fridge with your name on it. Yes, all of those things. We aren't some backwater cafe that only serves standard drip swill. We? So you run this place with someone else? My grandmother. She's not here right now. Uh-huh. And what's this place called? Are you freaking kidding me? Look at the damn sign, poster boy! I sighed, loud and dramatically. Coffee Curiosities. His fingers pause their tapping for a moment. He takes the time to raise a smug eyebrow at me. Right, bravo. No, really, it's inspired. A little desperate and only slightly nauseating. He stands up straight and takes one more large, gulping glance at the cafe's facade. Then he flips his phone and snaps a headshot of my startled face. It's a perfect blend of material for my blog, that is. Your blog? He gives me a look that is equal parts smug and pitying. It's perhaps the most punchable expression I've ever seen. You have no idea who I am, do you? No? Wait, but now that I get a really good look at him, he actually does look somewhat familiar. Here, a souvenir. Don't bend it now. It's premium, embossed. With a wink, he slips a business card into my hand. Fancy gold script spells out Cuisine Blogger and the name Mikhail. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Thanks. Guess I'll use that when I run out of toilet paper. I snap the card from his fingers, making sure to look thoroughly unimpressed as I do. His swarmy veneer cracks, just a little at that. Charmed, I'm sure. Now then, let's hope your coffee wildly lives up to my expectations, shall we? I can feel my blood boiling. The way that smirk plays at the edge of his mouth, it's perfectly obvious what his expectations are. Though I still can't place his face, I read about bloggers just like him. Vindictive types traipsing around the country, targeting coffee shops with small customer bases, searching for the worst of the worst for their scathing reviews, like sharks feasting on krill. For a second time, I slide my gaze grimly over his red sports car with the ostentatious wheels, shiny mirrors, and waxed gleam. I suppose when you're the scum on the surface of the industry, it doesn't matter if you destroy businesses wherever you go, as long as those clicks keep coming. Well, he's not going to drag Baba's Cafe through the mud on my watch. So, here I am, in the flesh, your only paying customer and all that. I drove 2 hours from the city to find this place. Aren't you gonna let me in? I stride up to the door, start to unlock, but inwardly, the boiling blood is starting to boil over. I'm in no mood to play nice. In fact, just for the audacity of coming here and trying to mess with a witch's business, I'm perfectly happy to play just a little dirty. With the help of some magic. Slipping my hand inconspicuously behind my back, I start to weave a spell in the air. I step towards him, all the while, a sweet smile plastered on my face. Sure, I don't have a problem with that. You're welcome to try my coffee. Quickest way to get you off my property. But you might not want to step inside just yet, because I'm going to distract magic. A seagull just stole your phone. What? He pivots on his heels to see the gigantic sea orb that is now squatting on the top of the roof of his car. Beacon phone. I'm pleased to see that after being summoned, it took the time to excrete on the car just before it landed, too. It's a nice touch if I do say so myself. Hey, Birdie. I'm gonna need you to give me back my phone now. It's very expensive, and it was a gift, so alright, just give it back, yeah? Deliciously flustered, Mikhail edges closer to the seagull, trying not to scare it back into the skies with the phone in tow. Please? The seagull blinks at him with bored indifference. So just give it back to me. He lunges towards the bird like a complete idiot. Finally compelled to move, the bird immediately drops the phone and rockets itself up in the air. And in the process, its clawed webbed feet tear into the fragile paint and metal of the car roof, leaving a permanent, deep scar on the surface. Oops. Mikhail rushes forward and falls upon the car in misery, like a man whose soul has been crushed. Bianca, my darling, no! No! Oh my god, Father is going to kill me. Bring, bring. With timing so impeccable, I'm almost convinced I'd somehow cast a second spell. Mikhail's phone explosively starts to ring. Upon seeing the caller ID, the blood drains from his face. Beep! Father, it's good to hear from you. No, I'm fine. You're back from Hawaii. Well, yeah, of course I can, but, Father, about the car you bought me, well, see, it's a funny story. Having completely forgotten me, Mikhail woefully shuffles away out of earshot to take the phone call. That wasn't my fault, right? Nah, accident, Watson, not vandalism. Just an accident. Yep, nothing to worry about. And so, most smug, yet just ever so slightly regretting my influence on the turn of events, I take the opportunity to back away through the cafe door, swinging the sign to open along the way. The minutes and then tens of minutes painfully tick by. Not a single potential customer walks inside or even hazards a peek through the windows. I start by leaning over the counter, head in palms, alternating between watching the clock hands and the bell above the door. But I quickly get bored, and my twitchy hands tap the counter, searching for something to do. Mikhail's business card is nearby, exactly where I'd thrown it earlier, so I retrieve it and twirl it around absent-mindedly. Let's find out how famous this guy really is. Whoa, seriously? A quick phone search pulls up hundreds of results. Blog posts with hits into the tens of thousands, sponsorships tied to prominent worldwide cafe chains, moonbugs, a hefty follower base on social media, and even a narcissistic modeling portfolio of monochrome shirtless photographs. Just great, as if I don't have enough problems right now. God, what's with these pictures? He's dripping wet in half of them. Did someone turn on a hose or something? So stupid. Now more irked than ever, I chuck my phone aside and go back to watching the clock. All of this inactivity is doing nothing except stiffening my muscles and making me anxious. 30 minutes and not a whiff of anyone, not even one of the regulars. This can't be right. I recall my previous summers here, when there were always non-magics and witch folk around, mingling, talking, and shooting friendly banter back and forth with Baba. Back then, her cafe had never seemed wanting for patrons. Each day, a steady stream of satisfied customers would come and go at an even pace. It had never been busy, but it was comfortable. Sure, it's unlikely that there'd be a lot of witch folks making the trip now. No doubt they're all at the mountaintop with Baba, picking mugwort and betting on drunken duels. But for there to be no non-magics around either? I glance back at the clock, disappointed by what I see. It's far too late now to even be trying to pluck customers off the street, but if I root around, there might be something of use laying around somewhere. So determined to be productive in some capacity, I trawl through some of the lower kitchen cupboards, trying to find something to use to attract new customers in the morning. Sensing activity, Hannibal slinks into the kitchen and crawls around my leg. With a pointed meow, she leads me to a hatch under the rug on the floor, below one of the opened cupboards. Nice! Good job, Hannibal! She purrs silkily and continues to circle around as I rummage through the contents of the hatch box. There isn't much of use, but I do stumble on an old sideboard for advertising. And some pastel chalk sticks. This is perfect. If I spruce it up a little, it'll do for a mini menu at the end of the street. Hannibal pokes her little head beneath my arm, demanding scritches for her hard work. I'm so distracted, I fail to hear the bell chiming at the door. Good girl, who's gonna get some fishy wishies tonight? That's right, you are! Excuse me? Ow! Just a second, I'll be right with you. Clutching the bruised crown of my head that just exchanged blows with the cupboard door, I tottered embarrassedly back to my feet and heave over the counter. A radiant sight greets me. Oh, hello. Fishy wishies? Sorry, I was talking to the cat. Oh, I remember you. Her eyes visibly sparkle and her cheeks pinken. You do? Of course, the woman from the beach, right? I'm so sorry again for bumping into you back there. Oh, no, it's quite alright. So that's what she meant. Somehow she looks kind of sad. Did I say something wrong? An awkward silence settles over us. As it stretches on, she starts to comb a finger nervously through a loose curl of her hair. Well, this is a fine way to start the evening, by making my only customer uncomfortable. Applying my kindest, most sincere smile. I gesture towards one of the seats at the counter. I can at least salvage the situation by acting professional now. Where are my manners? You're here to order, right? What can I get you? We have a menu around here somewhere. As I rummage around behind the counter, though her body language is shy, the woman's striking. Sandy eyes watch me intently. I can't help but feel a little nervous. Here it is. I slide the menu across the counter. A lavish, high-end tablet listing all our served items, including coffee blends, black and white and green teas, small meals, and desserts. But this tablet, much like the cafe itself, has a mystical secret up its sleeve. A coffee cup-shaped tab on the screen, enchanted to be invisible to non-magic customers, conceals a hidden secret menu, one that displays some of Baba's oldest potions and other recipes designed for more magical patrons. I admit, I was surprised earlier to find such a thing myself. A paper menu was all that had existed before. But the tablet looks brand new and screams, "Impulse purchase!" which unfortunately also happens to be one of Baba's many bad habits. The woman graciously takes the tablet from me, tucking a periwinkle curl behind one of her stylish earrings. She begins scrolling intuitively through the menu. She's so elegant and glamorous, and her light eyelashes have this beautiful, dewy quality to them, like black waves breaking on the beach at night. So strong was that association, I curiously struck by a sense of familiarity. But then, you have nothing new on the menu, I take it? Sorry, you could say I'm somewhat of a regular here. I know this place and its owner very well. Oh, then I take it you also know my grandmother is out of town right now? I do, but it's no trouble at all. I didn't come to see her today. She tilts her head shyly. It's a devastating move, but I don't think she's doing it on purpose. Is she enjoying her vacation? Oh yeah, I'm sure she's having a whale of a time. She pulls stunts like this far too often. I'm half convinced she dragged me back here just to rope me into running this place for a few weeks. The woman shuffles somewhat bashfully, in her seat, lowering her eyes to her lap. Well, if it brought you back to Linsdale, then I'm glad she did. Just think of this as a salacious encounter. Did she mean to say serendipitous? With a gentle smile, she clears her throat and taps the screen with her nail. A highlighted drink is the salty kelp latte, a popular sea-based item from the secret menu. Oh my god, is this Kia? I feel like this is human form Kia. Okay, it might not be, but I'm trying not to get my hopes up, but my hopes are up. A popular sea-based item from the secret menu. I don't recall if I said that. This one, if I may. It's my usual order. Sure thing. It'll just be a moment. I flash her a knowing smile before stepping over to the kitchen area to prepare her order. As I lay my hands on the glass bottle of kelp leaves, a spark of inspiration hits me, and so I... prepare the drink with... well, it's on the magic menu. With nobody else here, why be ordinary when I can afford to be a little flamboyant? With a snap of my fingers and a series of illuminated shapes traced in the air, the ingredients heed my call and begin to dance around me in a flourish. A dash of seawater, a pinch of sugar, and the star of the show, the salty kelp. Oh, so it's like a nice mixture between salty and sweet. Oh, that sounds good. Maybe not the seawater, because you can't have... humans should not drink seawater. So that part, maybe not the best. But that sounds like a good mixture, is the long and short of that. The kelp blades weave their way through the air until they collide and pirouette, crushing themselves into a fine powder. They fall like emerald snow into the basin of a china cup that dances its way into the woman's hands. Oh, I got an achievement. Cool. Wow, it's so... pretty cool, huh? But the magic show's not finished yet. Last to arrive is the steamed milk, unfurling itself from a nearby jug like a porcelain ribbon, and winds its way into the cup, slowly mixing with the other ingredients. I'm really hoping that's not the milk that was curdled. I wouldn't imagine it would be, but the hope is there. As the last drop falls, I bring my palms forward to bless the drink with one final drop of something special. A pinch of magic. And now for the finishing touch. Could you tell me your name? She looks agitated, as if she has particular trouble answering the question. It's, Kiana. I knew it! I knew it! Yes, it's Kia! Do you not realize it? Alright, sit tight, Kiana. I reach across the counter for a thin nozzled bottle filled with the caramel, and in small delicate letters I write her name across the milk foam. And there we have it. Bon appetit. As she puts the drink to her lips, the warm steam brings a soft flush to her cheeks. A small content sigh escapes her as she returns the cup to the saucer. So, my salty kelp latte. Does it meet a mermaid's approval? Does she realize it? Or does she just think she's a mermaid named Kiana? Yes, very much so. It's gumptuous. I'm glad to hear it. But I'm pretty sure you mean scrumptious. Oh my goodness, this is so embarrassing. Human language is still so, hard? Right, I've been studying so much and I still mess up all the time. Her whole face breaks out into a fierce flush, and the quiet elegance I'd seen in her earlier has completely peeled away. Nothing could have prepared me for this. It's like her demeanor has done a complete 180. I thought she was demure, but I guess she was just shy about making mistakes in front of a human. Either way, it's absolutely adorable. Don't apologize, it's cute. The way way you mix up your words, it reminds me of... You getting it now? You getting it now? No way! Kia? Yes! Yes, yes, yes! And so I've been visiting the cafe ever since my Brindling ended. I suppose I look quite different now, don't I? That's quite the understatement. I didn't recognize you at all. An hour later, Kia and I were still sitting together, lattes in hand at the counter. We've been talking so animatedly, I barely think either of us have paused for breath. But now I recognize her familiar shyness and her adorable mannerisms. But I have to admit, seeing her adult human form for the first time is still throwing me for a loop. Perfectly understandable when I consider she still looked like a child 3 years ago. The changes to her face in particular are profound, but not unexpected. After all, I know very well that mer people experience growth very differently from humans. A mer person's childhood, their Brindling period, would last from the time they're hatched until they reached a normal age of human adolescence. Throughout the Brindling, mer children would appear barely to age at all, maintaining a childlike appearance for years and years. And then, at the Brindling's end, what awaited them was a highly accelerated transformation into a human body, and the ability to adopt a human form. After I met Kia, because we couldn't really communicate at first, I remember wanting to learn more about her kind. I figured out about the Brindling and the change through one of Baba's old books. Also, as I also recall, I had to climb up her bookcase like a monkey to get it, and slipped on the way up. Kia cried for hours when I turned up at the beach covered in bruises. So when did your Brindling end? When I was about 17. It was a year and 3 months after you left. Not that I was counting. When she catches me smiling, Kia turns away and scrambles for her drinks. It's the cutest thing. But I'm suddenly reminded of something else. Wait, earlier didn't you say your name was Kiana? Well, when you didn't seem to recognize me at the beach, I was a little embarrassed. She sighs heavily, resting her hand over her heart. And even though I came to the cafe just to see you, I still couldn't bring myself to say anything. Oh, but Kiana is the land name I chose for myself, so I wasn't exactly lying to you. I just had trouble pronouncing it when we were children. I do use it around Linsdale. My family is in the ocean still use my sea name, of course. I probably shouldn't pry into that. Mermaid sea names are private, intimate things after all. I guess I should be careful not to call her Kia too much around town, though, either. With that question, I'm just skipping that word, out of the way, I loop the conversation back into what really matters. Oh no, can I go back? I can't go back. I'm sorry, I missed it. No, wait. I didn't miss it. I don't know what just happened, but I fixed it. So how was it? Your change, I mean. Oh, it was, better than I expected. The growing pains were bad for a while, but compared to the others who experienced it at the same time, my change was relatively quick. She takes the last few sips of her latte, then lays the empty cup down and fingers it pensively. I was just happy that my outside finally matches who I am inside. When we used to play on the beach together, we couldn't go far because, well, I chuckle as I head back around the kitchen counter to wash her cups and saucers. No legs? Right. You were growing up, and in my mind I was growing up with you, but physically for me nothing was changing, and every year it felt like you were getting further and further away, and there was nothing I could do about it. We used to draw so many shapes in the sand, all the things I wanted to do, all the places I wanted to visit, but because of me we couldn't do any of it. Her eyes glaze over, she suddenly looks quite dejected. Not wanting to watch her beat herself up, I take her hand in mine. Oh, oh. But we can now, right? Exactly. No more hiding in the rock pools or covering up her fins with a blanket I brought from the cafe. We can stray as far from the beach as we like now. Go anywhere we want. Now that you have your human form, the world is your oyster. You just let me know what you want to do, and we'll go do it. It works like a charm. Kiana's sandy eyes light up, and she leans across the counter, brimming with excitement. Okay. Oh, but with your grandmother gone, you'll still be working here full-time, won't you? Then until we can do something, I'll just stop by every day to see you. I shrug my shoulders, gesturing toward the empty room in an exaggerated way. Thanks. I appreciate the company in more ways than one. As you can see, this place isn't exactly hopping. Without a regular or two, quite honestly, I might struggle to make ends meet this summer. And based on today, I'll take just about any customer I can get. Anyone but that vain fop, anyhow. The more I remember his smug face, the crabbier I get. It's at the point when I realize that I'm not so much drying the cups as grinding the tea towel into them that... Jingle, jingle! The bell at the door rings for a second time. Welcome, just take a seat and I'll be with you straight... Speak of the devil. Mikhail strides inside, looking at the interior with both hands shoved into his jean pockets, with a slightly furrowed brow. He's looking decidedly less cool and collected than this afternoon, though it's obvious he's trying his best to mask it. Nice place you have here. The drafty cracks in the walls are a particularly nice feature. Ugh, he is not cute. Not at all. Sounds like something you'd say if you do find somebody attractive, but you don't really like them. You know, like you don't like their personality. My jaw joints creak like an unoiled metal as I force a smile. Linsdale tourism prides itself on the town's invigorated, beachy sea breeze. Why deprive our customers of that just because they're indoors? Cute. Very cute. Sensing Kiana's discomfort, I gesture to the counter seats with an audible huff. Well, sit down here if you're ready to order. You are here to order. Miguel slides into a seat directly beside Kiana. He beams obnoxiously as he pulls out his phone. Of course, and I don't need a menu. Just serve me your best attempt at coffee. You gonna pay for it? Please, of course, I will. I'm not trying to put you out of business. Though I retreat to the back of the kitchen to begin scooping and grinding the beans, I keep one watchful eye on Mikhail at all times. Thankfully, though, his gaze is still roaming all over the interior. He isn't trying to snap pictures. But it's obvious he's searching for something. A juicy tidbit, a draw for his story. And so after his eyes complete their rounds of the decor, they naturally come to fall on his neighbor. Are you a regular here? Yes, I come here almost every week. His eyes widen in genuine surprise. Really? What's your usual order? If it's that good, then maybe I should have ordered it that too. Oh, She flutters her eyes to me, begging for assistance, but I'm way ahead of her. I make the 3 strides back to the counter in a heartbeat and step in. She's a special customer. Her order's not on the menu, and it's shall we say, an acquired local taste. I doubt you'd like it. Gotta admit, though, I'm sorely tempted to put seawater in his coffee just for the heck of it. Must resist. Well, that's a shame. You'll have to let me in on the secret of that drink sometime, miss. Ever sweet and polite, Kiana holds out her hand to introduce herself. Excuse me. Kiana, just Kiana is fine. And, I'm afraid I don't know much about the recipe, or coffee for that matter. Just as I become concerned that Mikhail might be trying to defile Kiana's hand with a kiss, another one of those pretentious business cards appears in his hand and he drops it into hers. Enchanté, I'm Mikhail, and I happen to be an expert on coffee. I'm a cafe blogger. Oh, cuisine? It's pronounced cuisine, Kiana. It means food. I turn to Mikhail and scramble for a cover-up. She's not from around here. But her accent? He doesn't look convinced at all, but thankfully Kiana's pure-hearted curiosity comes to the rescue. You write about food? Then you're here to write about cafe curiosities? Yep, that's the intention. No doubt you've heard of my... But Kiana's already stopped listening. Watson, this is perfect. Now you don't have to worry about finding customers. Once he tastes your coffee, he's sure to love it. And if you write something good, people will come from all over Linsdale. Kiana, my sweet summer child, your innocence is wasted on him. He's not that kind of blogger. As I slowly churn the coffee grinder, I gave Mikhail a disapproving side-eye, and he shifts in his seat. The twitchy guy sitting beside you only visits coffee shops he expects to be bad. His blog is just a collection of hatchet jobs designed to be shocking and to tank any business he writes about. He's only here because he thinks my coffee is going to taste so undeniably terrible, it'll make for a juicy article. With one last yank, I grind the last of the coffee beans into dust. Or have I missed something out? Mikhail practically rolls his eyes into the next entry. Hey now, you make it seem like I'm the enemy here. Ask my darling readers, and they'll tell you. The only two things I'm guilty of in this business are being criminally handsome and being honest. And the coffee they served at all of those other cafes just happened to be, honestly, awful. And just think of it this way. This is your perfectly fair chance to impress me. Not that you will. I've savored all the finest blend this world has to offer, and you're welcome to try. It seems to take Kiana a few minutes to process all this information. I guess she still isn't all too knowledgeable about this side of human society yet, but once it does click into place, she looks crushed. But that's... How could you do something like that to hardworking people? That's so despicable. And I guess that one was supposed to be despicable? I'm happy she has my back, but Kiana's just wasting her breath. Besides, this coffee critic had just unwittingly challenged a witch. And I'm not the one who's about to be eaten alive. It's alright, Kiana. He has the right to do what he likes, and so do I. All I have to do is prove him wrong. So go ahead. With a single finger, I slide a cup across the counter in one fluid motion. It stops just shy of Mikhail's hand, taunting him like a goblet being laid down in a declaration of war. It emits a powerful, bitter aroma, so tantalizing that it clings to the air and doesn't let go. A mouth-watering aroma no person could resist. The secret house blend, with a little pinch of something special mixed in. I sneak Kiana a mischievous wink, and she understands my meaning implicitly. Drink up? You won't be disappointed. What's the matter? You should drink it before it gets cold. I won't let you use the excuse that it was bad simply because you ruined its flavor by letting it sit too long. Brimming with devilry, I decide to push him just a little harder. As the expert here, you wouldn't want to make that mistake, would you? Watching him squirm and tug at the collar of his jacket, I realize I'm enjoying myself far too much. I still don't take my eyes off him. I stare him down until he finally gives in, puts the cup to his lips, and... all that bravado when it's mediocre after all. But he takes another sip. Exactly, it's completely, and another, completely, and another, and another, and another. He He drinks and drinks until the veneer rips away and he finally throws his head back, shamelessly chugging the hot liquid until he laps up every drop. And the bottom of the cup is all that remains. Hunching over, he slams the cup down on the counter and stares at it in dumb disbelief. He's shaken and a little breathless, and there's something clouded about his expression. Delicious. It's 9 p.m. Closing time draws near on this, my first day of running the cafe. As I finish scribbling down orders onto a pad of receipt paper, I rip the page out and hand it over. So, 3 senior blends, 1 small and 2 grandes. That'll be 7 gold. He's been scowling like this ever since he finished his first cup. Truthfully, he looks more mystified than anything else. After the first cup, he'd sat shell-shocked for several minutes, then sprung up and demanded 2 more of the same drink in quick succession. When they were ready, Kiana and I had huddled together watching him discreetly over the tops of our own lattes. He never took more than 1 small sip at a time, crossing his arms and quietly ruminating over the taste before going back to another sip. We lost count at how many times he furrowed his brow, how many pictures he took, or how many notes he typed into his phone. After half an hour, I thought he'd finally admitted defeat, but... Mikhail, 7 gold? Right now, Mikhail is clutching onto his gold, pouting comically. He looks like a child who doesn't want to give up his favorite marbles, unless his parent agrees to trade him a cookie. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I almost feel sorry for him. No matter how hard he racks his brain, he's never going to figure out the secret. Wait, why do I feel more guilty for cheating at coffee than I did wrecking his car? Oh, right, yeah, here. Thanks, here's your change. I don't get it. How? Tell me how. It's all finally too much for his pride and he explodes, slamming his hands down on the counter. How is your coffee that good? This place has terrible reviews everywhere. It's a dead spot online. There's no way the coffee could be this good. Wait, terrible reviews? When he sees that I've no intention of answering him, Mikhail clasps his hand defeated and sighs. He's still pouting like a little kid. Tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow to make absolutely sure it wasn't a fluke. I'm not writing my review until I know you're not cheating, so bring your A game. Looking forward to it. Gah! He concedes and steps away to gather up his phone. As he moves out of earshot, a very apologetic-looking Kiana takes his place. She leans in and whispers in my ear. Is he going to be alright? He looks kind of upset. He'll get over it, and I have a feeling he might turn out to be quite useful. As I've done for Mikhail, I write out her receipt and pass it on. Here you go. How are the lattes? Not salty enough? She puts her hand to her face, cheeks pink with contentedness. Not at all. They were perfect. Even more so than your grandmother's. Your kelp lattes leave me feeling completely refreshed. Being out of the sea for so long must be tough, huh? Anytime you need to pick me up, you know where I am. Thank you. Just as Mikhail was making his way back, Kiana puts her hand into her purse fishing for gold. She's fumbling a little, like she's having trouble. I forgot, maybe she doesn't even know how human currency works yet? But before I can cover her, Mikhail steps forward, trying to act chivalrous. No need to be flustered. I have more than enough for the both of us. Oh, it's fine, I think. Here, is this enough? She tips out the entire contents of her purse onto the table. A whopping shiny mountain of gold, silver individual coins spill off the counter onto the floor. What the? Kiana, it was 8 gold, not 800. Oh. Well, that's okay. I have so much anyway, just take it. She turns to Mikhail with the sweetest, innocent smile. Would you like me to pay for yours too, Mr. Mikhail? No, it's... mumbling something about how he had already paid. Mikhail picks his jaw up off the ground and quickly sees himself out. Did I say something wrong? No, you didn't. Don't worry about him. I paused, thinking about what Mikhail had let slip earlier. Kiana, this cafe, does it have a bad reputation in Linsdale? Late into the night, I'm staring absent-mindedly into Baba's crystal ball with my head on the table, a fuzzy blanket around my shoulders, and Hannibal in my lap. Baba's rabbit-shaped letter is still hopping about on the desk, deftly dodging all of Hannibal's impish paw swipes. All around us, the dust and pan and broom go about their nighttime cleaning. Sweep, sweep. Sweep, sweep, sweep. I still can't stop thinking about it. Terrible reviews is what he said. Kiana didn't seem to know anything about it, but then again, I doubt she pays much attention to something like that. No reason not to just find out myself once and for all. I slipped my phone from my pocket, punched in a few keywords, and hit enter. Sure enough, it turns up a dozen results, none of them good. About this, at least, it turns out Mikhail hadn't been exaggerating after all. Dismal star ratings, mentions of the crummy decor, photographic evidence of bad service. There's not even one that looks like a secret shot taken from under someone's armpit. No way. Baba's just plain asleep in this one, at the counter, just not even trying to hide it. All of the public reviews, at least, seem to have been written from the point of view of outsiders, but that doesn't comfort me much. It only means that the Linsdale residents still care enough about Baba as a friend to not out her online. And let me guess, all these ratings go back? Yep, 3 years. Not so subtly back to the end of my last summer at Linsdale. Suddenly, extremely irked all over again, I grab a pillow and hurl it into the general direction of this bookcase. Several old ledgers come tumbling down and clatter on the ground. Honestly, Baba, you are a powerful witch. If you don't want to run a cafe in the first place, why don't you do literally anything else? This is exactly why Dad's always worried about you. After screaming out some of my frustrations into the void, I haul myself to the tattered pile of books and start gathering them up. Hannibal trots near, stepping all over the ledgers, then curls up on them for a snooze. She's about as helpful as a sixth toe. And what about you? Didn't think to mention that tidbit, did ya? The truth is, even if her heart had never been in the cafe, I know exactly why Baba chose to stay in Linsdale all these years. Once she laughed and told me it was because she could lie on the beach in a bikini drinking coconut juice all day, but really, it was because of all the shirtless surfers, wasn't it? I pick up the last of the ledgers, shaking Hannibal off the cover, but I stop when I realize it's this year's edition. Something in me holds back from returning it to the shelf before taking a peek inside. A feeling, or more like a terrible witch's intuition, that Baba had one more bunny skeleton in her closet waiting for me to discover it. Her escape, the bad reviews, the empty pantry, the shifty locals, even the brand new tablet. All the clues were aligning to suggest one very damning picture. So I thumbed through the first few pages and my face goes ashen. I knew it! She's totally broke! It's almost as if I can feel the skeleton of fate springing from the darkness of the proverbial closet to put its hands around my neck. But that's not all. At my feet, the tiny paper rabbit bounds up, cruelly announcing by a tilt of its head that it has one more message for me. It levitates up and folds itself in the air, stopping at eye level. A space at the very bottom of the letter slowly stains with ink, a second postscript that had been hidden until this exact moment. Watson, PBS. That's right, I'm broke. Don't know how that happened, really. Be a dear and sort something out before I have to file for bankruptcy. I believe in you. Good gracious, Baba, come on! Alright. Alright, so now that it is a new day, I'm going to stop here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you really enjoyed. If you want to play this game, it is free on Steam. It's called A Pinch of Magic. Thank you again for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your night.